Yo, what's going on, guys? We're here with Mock Draft 4.0. We'll actually be posting 5.0 at hoopshype.com. Link should be in the description. But here we are. We're going to run through it. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. No teams affiliated yet because the lottery is still in like a month to be there, third year in a row. But let's get right into it. I do want to show you guys the full mock before we go through the whole thing. And if some people just want to comment on that, do it now. And we'll get right into it. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm here at Portsmouth waiting for day 3 of games to start. So that's where I'm at and where I've been for the past couple of days. Now, let's get this right underway and talk about every prospect. If you see me looking down, it's because the screen is down there, camera's above me. So obviously, Cooper Flagg, the heralded #1 pick. Work ethic is crazy, and he's a guy who has the length, the motor, the ability to guard every single position that gives him all-star upside. Obviously, he'll need to improve his ball handling, shot creation ability to become a primary option that is, a 25 point per game scorer. Next up, Dylan Harper, who's a 6'6" guard out of Rutgers, the son of 5-time NBA champion Ron Harper. He's kind of like Cade Cunningham-ish. Like, he's my favorite and I think highest ceiling prospect in this draft. And it's due to his high basketball IQ, the ability to play slow, fast, and his playmaking prowess, not just for himself, but for his teammates. His polished shot creation and court vision makes him a potential lead guard or even a point wing that I think scouts' only concern is, will he have enough athleticism to finish at the rim? Next up, Ace Bailey. He's the 6'10" combo forward with a 7-foot wingspan with a great shooting stroke and being a secondary creator upside at the very least. Now, his perimeter range and defensive abilities intrigue scouts. Obviously, his shot selection and decision making are going to have to be improved to maximize his role in the next NBA. Some people have like superstar grades on him. I'm a little bit lower on him, but I still think he can be a very productive power forward in the NBA. VJ Edgecombe is someone that I really like. He's almost 6'5". He's kind of a mix of in between Kassan Wallace and Victor Oladipo, with the ability to contribute right now as a defender and secondary playmaker. And as he grows, I think he can be a guy whose game will be a drive first scorer who can extend out the 3-point range. Trey Johnson, 6'6". He's maybe the most gifted scorer here. At the very least, this guy could be a perennial 6-man. Has an array of pull-up jumpers, off the dribble, scoring moves that just makes him one of the best scorers in this draft. And what he'll need to do is just become more consistent of a playmaker for his teammates and shore up his defensive effort, as he's largely just a drive-first scorer. And Jeremiah Fears is a 6'4" combo guard, maybe even 6'5" at this point, from Oklahoma. He was the Bub Carrington of this class, probably even better than Bub ended the year fantastic. And he has some intriguing steal rate numbers as his defensive upside's there. And the inconsistent 3-point shot's the biggest glaring weakness. But the kid being able to get to the rim inside the arc, having high efficiency numbers, is really good for a point guard who could be either a 1 or a 2. Konka Nipple, the 6'7" sharpshooter, I think he's kind of like a better shooting offensive version of DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter might be the better defender out of the two, but I think Knipple's better offensively. But think of that similar mold, a guy who can catch and shoot, make plays for himself and for his teammates, and has the basketball IQ that will be perfect in today's space out NBA. And his ability to be a floor spacer, but then also handle the ball, handle the speed of the NBA, and defend quicker perimeter players, and also defend forwards is just going to be something people love. Derek Queen has slowly risen up to be one of the better big men in this class, and he's a 6'10" playmaking big out of Maryland. Kind of reminds me of like a modern day Al Jefferson, who's able to combine polish post-scoring moves with great passing instincts for his size. Obviously, his efficiency and his ability to facilitate offense to dribble handoffs and out the elbow is something you want to see from a modern stretch 5. His 3-point shot leaves some room to be desired, and he is going to be a 21-year-old rookie. And he just played 1 year of college ball. He was a 20-year-old freshman. Kamal Mawatch, he was super hyped up going into the season. He's probably more likely to be a Rudy Gobert or DeAndre Jordan, which is still a freaking fantastic player. At 7'2", who's elite shot blocking and instincts on the rebounding side, makes him a future perennial rim protector. He's still very raw offensively and probably will never develop past being a lob threat and a put back dunk specialist, but he can just be a defensive anchor who could be a perennial defensive team type guy. Kasparis Yakachunas is someone 6'6" Lithuanian guard, has this Tyrese Halliburton type of game that will make creative passes, will shoot the three, can get to the rack, but it's the combination of size, playmaking, and shooting that makes him hyped up. He kind of fell down a little bit compared to his top 5 hype midway through the season due to the fact that I'd have to say it was just the inefficiencies at times, and I think that's just because he's getting like forced to do a lot. Colin Murray Boyles is someone who's climbed up the boards. 6'7" forward who's high energy, two-way ability, efficient scoring in the paint, and relentless rebounding. I have people looking at him as a multi-positional offensive defensive player that can contribute to any team day one. Now, his defensive versatility and stoppage rate is what makes him such a valuable role player, though if he can work on his shot and stretch it out to the three-point area, he's going to be able to be a small ball 5, a 4. Maybe if the shot comes around, you can play even seldomly used big lineups of him being the 3. Jace Richardson, the son of Jason Richardson, 6'3" combo guard who's more of like an Eric Gordon guy who can finish up the rack, who's a really good catch and shoot player, and his motor make him a safe bet status. Yes, he's slightly undersized and limited athletically as a 2 guard, and he's not really a point guard at all. But I think he'll at very least be a rotation level guard, maybe along the same lines of like a Jared McCain this upcoming year. And I know that's like high aspirations, but I think it should be just acknowledged. Asseo Noel, he's 6'11". I think he's a switch big, probably be more of a big in the NBA along the lines of Nick Claxton with a 3-point shot, blend of athleticism, perimeter switching on defense, shot blocking instincts, which allows him to excel in the glass and be a guy who can score in transition or defend in transition. Yes, he has a tweener build and he's still developing offensively, which leaves his best position at the next level a big question, but I think that's a good question to want to solve. Now, Noah Isengun is so interesting. He's kind of developed into a forward more so than a forward. 6'9" combo forward, probably going to be more of a 3-4 than a 4-3. His 3-point shot and playmaking are works in progress, but his energy, athleticism, and raw tools as a guy who's a defensively versatile player and his transition offense is fantastic, how he just runs up the court like a gazelle, and he's a willing rebounder, which are all things you like. Liam McNeely, 6'7", UConn forward, great shooter, high IQ, and he suffered an ankle injury and was forced to play out of his normal role, being more of a facilitator for UConn. It didn't really work out. I feel like the NBA, he's going to be better than he was in college. Now, Yagor Demim is someone that I think is really interesting. He's actually fallen down the boards, and that's just because he's a 6'10" non-shooter. He's someone that I don't think he'll go this low just because of the potential of having someone who is able to play multiple positions, jumbo frame, has passing ability like Josh Giddey. It's the spotting, scoring consistency, and like the defense, but the high risk, high reward in him will hinge on how he does at the combine, and I think he'll be able to convince people to take him. Next up, Nolan Traore. He went from being a potential top 3 pick to outside the lottery. He's a 6'3" French combo guard whose court vision and pick and roll ability is what people like. And the problem is he's not a good scorer. He's got a spotty, like a slow release. And at this point, what is he? I had someone tell me he's like Killian Hayes, but Killian Hayes might have been a better prospect, which is crazy to think. So Thomas Sorber is next up, 6'10". I love this guy out of Georgetown. Sorry, my mouth is like dry as hell. 6'10", can play in the post. He's got rebounding ability, rim protection as well. He can play either position. He's more of an undersized 5. Someone said he is like a better Xavier Tillman. I think that's good. Like his lateral quickness needs work, but his two-way motor and efficient scoring in the paint, even if the 3-point shot doesn't come around, is going to allow him to be a high-level backup center for a long time. Carter Bryant was someone who mainly came off the bench, but he was effective. 6'8", can play the 2, the 3, the 4, and that athleticism and versatility and having a decent shot probably have people looking at him and be like, maybe like Trey Murphy or something is what they think. Nick Clifford's like Aaron Wiggins is a 6'6" wing whose game has grown as a scorer, rebounder, and playmaker that I think after this great year, he's going to be someone who has the tantalizing two-way ability to be a sleeper for a contending team. Ben Seraph is a 6'5" Israeli guard, and right now playing in the German BBL with Noah Sengun. He said his favorite player and the one he emulates is Vasilia Misic, and I think he is someone who needs to develop a more consistent off the dribble jumper, make sure that he can hit his three at an above league average rate, and lock in defensively regularly, and he can have maybe a Goran Dragic style career path. Rasheer Fleming, he's someone that I really do like, 6'9" forward who from St. Joseph's, who's got a great shooting touch, great defender. He's perfect for the modern stretch four position. And yes, there's some concerns about competition level, positional fit, but his blend of size, athleticism, and three-point accuracy is going to allow him to be a late first round pick who's, a junior, but is going to be able to have a day one impact. Danny Wolf is a center who has that unique point forward quality as he's able to operate out the high post that blends passing, shooting, and incredible footwork. Yeah, he doesn't have the bursty or athleticism you like at that position, which hinders his ability as he's not the longest guy as a rim protector, but being a floor general and someone who can maybe operate the second unit for you is so interesting. Hugo Gonzalez was for years hyped up as one of the next best Spanish players. The thing is, he's more of a gadget guy in terms of like just someone who's a connector on both ends of the floor, whose defensive energy and motor make him hopefully the prototypical 3-and-D player, but it's so inconsistent, his shooting and scoring ability, that you're really just hoping that if that doesn't come around, at least his versatility, his IQ, and his willingness to do the dirty work makes him appealing as an NBA role player, contribute from day one. You're hoping also, like you saw with Ryan Dunn, that like his three-point shot can be fixed. Noah Penda is someone I like, a 6'8" forward whose two-way impact, sturdiness on defense, catch and shoot, three ability, and rebounding allowed him. And at one point in the season, he was shooting 40% from catch and shoots on limited attempts, which I just think you're seeing the potential he has as a floor spacing combo four, maybe even a small ball five at times. Next up is Jean Beringer, a 6'10" international Frenchman playing in, I believe, Slovenia for Cedevita. And he's someone that I think is great. Kind of reminds me of an Onyeka Okongwu, who can be a rim runner, rebounding big, that will have the shot blocking ability to be someone to come in and develop from a solid foundation. Now, obviously, he doesn't have the best face-up game, and I think at best he's like middle of the road starter, but he could be a pretty decent backup. Next up is Yaxel Lindenberg, who just transferred to Michigan, right? And he's interesting because he's this wing who came from Europe, was at UAB, and he's got slashing ability, can score, and it's really the defensive potential that I think is the most exciting thing right here that gives scouts optimism that you can be a two-way player at the next level. Will Riley, he's like 6'7", 6'6". He was supposed to be a point guard. He's more of a large two guard, maybe a three. You got to figure it out. Maybe he's better in the NBA than he was in college. The jumper got better as the year went on. He's flashed a high basketball IQ. I think it's really the size and the defensive potential that he could carve out a backcourt role if he tightens his all-around game. Now, Walt Clayton. Oh, my apology, guys. I did not change if you guys made it this far, I do really apologize. I thought I had changed this already. But Walter Clayton is now on the board. He's an athletic guard who has just climbed up the board because of his motor, his clutchness, and his ability to score. And his perimeter game is something that has gotten better over the years. I think you just look at him and you think, okay, there is room for this to work out, and that he could be a good backup point guard. Alex Caravan is someone who's become an all-around player. He's actually a decent defender. He's someone who's going to come in day one and be able to stretch the floor and provide some help moving the ball and just giving it all every time he comes on the floor. Ryan Kalkbrenner is a 7'1" drop big who he might be a near finished product, but he's going to be someone who, if like the Celtics trying to save money and go center by committee, he'll do what he's good at: rim running, grabbing rebounds, finishing around the rim, and occasionally hitting the open corner shot. Adu Thiero is a freak athlete who, yeah, he can't shoot, but that defensive intensity, motor, and athleticism that anchor his game makes him a strong proposition for a developmental project, as he already gets to the rim and finishes pretty well there and can facilitate second actions. But it's really the shooting that is the biggest question. Fix that, and you got yourself a decent guy. If it doesn't come around, he's just like a Josh Okogie, Isaac Okoro, maybe a little bit worse, more athletic. Now, Cam Jones is someone I think who can play the 1, the 2, maybe even small ball 3 as a 6'6" or 6'5" more so out of Marquette, who took over Tyler Kolek's role. Before that, he was more of a scorer off ball. So who has the ability to be a shot creator for himself, for others, shoot off the catch. I think obviously the biggest thing for him is his ability to split defenses and knock down pull-up jumpers that make him a natural fit as a secondary playmaker who can run the second unit. Now, next up is Maxime Renal, who I like. Maxime Renal is a European big who just played for Stanford. He's got actually crafty ball handling ability and good shooting touch, though he still needs to bulk up, I believe, a little bit, but I think his feel for creating offense and just being massive gives him that upside that he could actually sneak into the first round. He was one of the best bigs in the college game. So I think he's someone that was incredibly underrated. Janai Broom is 6'10", big out of Auburn. He's someone who has the combination length, rebounding, and rim protection that is rare for his age. I think he's a better defensive and bigger version of Naz Reid. I don't think he's as gifted scoring, but I think the motor and everything makes him a very enticing player for an NBA team. Alex Condon is the Australian who was just perfect for that championship team that could finish inside, was reliable with defense. Yeah, he lacked elite athleticism, but his basketball IQ and his ability just to grit it out is something that people really probably liked when they saw him, and it makes sense. Chaz Lanier moved up to Tennessee from North Florida and showed that the three-point shot was legit. He's got deep range. He's got enough athleticism. I just think outside of that, he's a decent off-ball mover, and he can finish in transition. He's just more of a secondary offensive option off the bench. Alex Tooney, the Australian combo forward who's got a motor, hustle, scrappiness, and defensive versatility and energy that he shows that he guards 1 through 4 in Australia. Yeah, he's not a shot creator or an incredible finisher, but his size and his hustle will make him an intriguing prospect for contending teams or playoff teams that need some depth pieces at the forward position. Sergio Delara, is it Sergio Delara? Delara, I think is actually how you say it. He's a jumbo point guard. I've seen 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". He's got a really silky shooting touch, and he has this playmaking ability and awareness how to space the floor and take advantage of it. Yeah, he's raw, but he has the ball handling, the catch and shoot gravity, and even the defensive instincts paired with the court vision that NBA teams love from international prospects. Boogie Flan, I've said before the injury, could have been the Rob Dillingham of this class, the 6'2" Arkansas guard who has the quick first step, great shooting touch, playmaking ability that you want to see. And he's shown leadership and efficient scoring that makes him a dark horse draft candidate to slide up the boards. So just keep an eye out for him. Bogi Markovic, someone that I interviewed last week. They'll come out soon, the interview. And he's someone that I really enjoyed as a point forward in the same vein of like Santi Aldama, Pascal Siakam, pass dribble shoot, who also has the offensive polish and defensive ability and motor to make him a two-way player. And he literally said, I was a point guard growing up, and then I had like a 7-inch growth spurt, which is insane to think about. And Isaiah Evans is a three-point marksman who has this insane pull-up game. His ability to create quick separation and have this quick draw is awesome. And at the very least, he projects to be a pretty darn good shooter at the NBA level. And I realized that I think it was 36 that was missing on that list right there. And finally, the last one we have is our boys right here. We'll run through this. Tyrese Proctor is like a 2-guard now, more so, he plays with like this stoic poise. He can run the pick and roll, defend it pretty well. He's got great defensive chops. Think of like a poorer man's Dyson Daniel, probably. And he can run offense. He hits open shots. He just doesn't take them at a large rate. LeBaron Philon was someone that I really like, 6'4", kind of like a more defensive version of Emmanuel Quickley, who's got great defensive intensity. He loves attacking the rim, and he's a freshman. He finishes around the basket all right. He could get better, but he also needs to be a better playmaker, but he does have some two-way ability. Now, JT Toppin has withdrawn from the draft, I believe, so I don't know if he's withdrawn, but he's staying at Texas Tech. I need to confirm, but he's an insane rebounding forward, undersized 5. I just I'm scared that he's kind of like a better trend in Wofford or something. That might be rude. Miles Bird is a all-round guy who's got a pull-up jumper game, can finish at the mid-range, and he's really more of a defensive player that has developed this all-around game that people love. Ian Jackson is someone who people thought was going to be a multi-dimensional pro, but he's more just a scoring guard who I really just would stick at the two and not play any other position, just create offense. He just needs to elevate playmaking, have better shot selection, be better on defense if he wants to be a long-term NBA guy. He could be like the Gary Trent Jr. of his class that he ends up going the second round and like shocks everybody and is a lot better. Tahad Pettiford is a prospect that I like because of his tenacity, his toughness, and as he adds strength and his mid-range game and three-point shot gets better, I think his hustle and his just ability to play make will allow him to develop into a rotational level role. Now, Bennett Sturts is a versatile guard who's got solid size and I think a decent feel for defense. Now, he's often actually guarding bigger players than him, and his offensive game has improved. I think it's him being this offensive hub that's like efficient and creates for other while having the instincts on defense that will allow him to transition to the NBA is possible. Then Milos Uzam is a Lithuanian guard prospect who has the ability to space the floor, knock down, catch and shoot jumpers that might make him a late second rounder as he has the ability to play make for himself and others. Drake Powell was supposed to be this physical defender who could finish around the rim. He needs to expand his shooting range and just tighten up his rotations and show that like there's more there than just tools. Michael Ruzic is the poor man's Dario Saric. He showed the shooting stroke you want and the high IQ with solid defensive ability, though he's undersized as a forward small ball five. That makes you worried that he won't be more than just a bench player who's kind of used as like a utility player. Dink Pate is a 6'8" wing who can play the two or the three. People thought, as I said earlier, he probably was going to be the Trey Murphy of this class. That didn't happen. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just he's really raw. And I don't think the last 2 years in the G were the best for him. Probably should have just gone to college. Darian Williams has the athleticism and the burst that you want to see from a bench player. If he develops the shot, I think he can carve out a career as a role player. Hunter Salas is a wing swingman whose three-point shooting dropped this year, but his positional flexibility, his shooting, and his willingness to play defense will make him a guy that teams in the second round will take a chance on. Sion James is a wing who has the athleticism, the closeout ability, and the verticality that you want to see from a defender, but he's also kind of like a Swiss Army knife that can do a little bit of everything, but he's more of a jack of all trades, master of none, which is kind of like your biggest thing with him is like he's just someone you'd like to have on your team. I don't know if he's going to carve out a career or not. Jameer Watkins is a Torrey Craig-esque defender, two-way player who'll play the two or the three. And he's someone who's able to guard multiple positions, be someone who has a good motor, and provide some scoring off the bench, maybe even develop into a spot starter. Bea Indogo is this physical player who's got post presence, the ability to finish through contact that catches the eye. And I think his offensive ability depends on adding a face-up game and improving his shooting touch, but his grip makes him a potential second-round pick. Now, Johan Grulo is one of my favorite, if not behind Markovic and Dylan Harper, a European switch big who's like a mix of Dean Wade and Jabari Smith Jr., whose rebounding ability, rim running, and high basketball IQ and willingness just to do all the dirty work makes him an interesting prospect who could be a draft and stash or just a cheap guy you bring over. While he's still raw, I think his instincts on both ends of the floor and positional versatility, and a guy who's been playing professional basketball and national team basketball for several years now, gives him a solid foundation as a pro prospect. So let me hear your thoughts on that one. That's it, guys. Peace out.